I am going to be 67 years old, and so I'm going to go way back to when I was a teenager. It probably was Jim Croce did not help this whole thing, because that was the era that, you know, I was a teenager, and I was very much a part of the hippie culture. I loved it. I loved all of it. And then the hippie culture kind of leaked into the Jesus freak movement. I don't know if any of you have heard of that, and I'm sure some of you have, but I became a really big part of that. There was a disc jockey on WHOT back in the day. His name was Johnny K, and he used to do these things called new births. And what he would do is he'd get all these Jesus freaks, and they'd all get together at certain places in the Youngstown area, and they'd sing and tell stories about Jesus, and then they'd have an altar call and people would come forward. Kathy's uncle was a huge part of that, and that's how I knew the name Kagi was because of Phil, and then I met Kathy. But yeah, it was very cool. Here's the thing. I was raised in a family where affection wasn't something that you experienced. It was implied. You know, my parents never said, "I love you." It was implied. We feed you, you're allowed to stay here. You're loved, shut up, go in the other room, type of a thing. You know, children are to be seen and not heard. And I was heard, oh my gosh, I was heard all the time. I know what you're talking about. And so when this whole Jesus freak movement started, I was like, you mean people can actually tell you they love you? I mean, that's not just like a TV thing like My Three Sons or, you know, something like that. And I just thought that was the greatest thing ever. I mean, people were telling me that they loved me and that Jesus loved me, and I thought this was the best thing ever. And so it changed my life. I mean, significantly changed my life at that time. And so, as I grew, I began to get signals from people that, you know, you should be a part of a church. And you should be reading a Bible, and you should be doing this, and you should be doing that, and you should be doing this. And I did everything people told me to do because, let's face it, I was young, and I wanted to be as close as Jesus as I can, and these people knew Jesus longer than me, so they must know what they're talking about, because I sure don't know what I'm doing. So, try to do everything everyone told me to do. Well, for those of you who have ever been a part of a church, or more than one church, you know that you're going to hear so many different things you're supposed to do. One group says, this is who God is, this is what you should believe, blah, 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 blah. The other group says, no, that's a cult, you should believe this, blah, 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 blah. No, that's wrong, this church, this is what doctrine you should be. And let me tell you, after, I don't know, 50 some years, I was like, I'm just, you know, you'd think I wouldn't be confused, or I'd have found myself by then, but I was just seriously confused. And the thing that really caused me to rethink all of it, and I've been part of several churches, I did not church hop. Matter of fact, when the one church I left and was going to another one, I told my mom, this just cracked me up. I said, we've left this church and we're gonna, you know, start going to another one. She said, again? I said, Mom, I've been going to this church for 19 years. What do you mean again? You know, it's like, what? But for them, they'd have been a part of the same religion for like 50 years, and you didn't do that. And so this one experience, and believe it or not, it was a theater type experience, which I'm very much a part of that culture also. And I watched, and I don't know how I missed this, because it was the 10-year anniversary of Les Miserables. And they did this whole like instead of showing the actual show, they did like a concert of the show. And the story of Jean Valjean, I don't know how many people here are familiar with the story of Jean Valjean, who was a con who had been in jail, taken to jail when he was younger for stealing a loaf of bread to feed his sister and her baby. While he was in jail, he kept trying to escape. So every time he tried to escape, they'd add more years onto his sentencing. And he ended up being in jail for like 19 years or something like that. When he finally got out, he got out and he had to carry these papers with him that said that he was an ex-con. And everywhere he went, people treated him differently. They treated him like dirt. They wouldn't, hire him. They scoffed at him. He just was not on their level, and he knew that. We finally came to this church where this bishop told him to come in, and he said, "Sit down, let me feed you." And Jean Valjean was not used to that kind of a greeting, and so he ate, and then the bishop said, "I've made up a bed for you," and he had clean sheets and a bed to sleep in. This had not happened. I mean, he had been in jail for 19 years and then just sleeping out as a homeless person for the rest of that time. And so while he was there, he noticed that there were some really nice things around this bishop, and he decided, if I take these things, I'll have money to do things. I could sell them. And he stole these candelabras and stuff like that, and he left. And the bishop and the housekeeper realized what had happened, but they didn't report it or anything like that. And then that night, the police showed up with Jean Valjean and his bag full of the silverware and the candelabras, and they said to the bishop, "Are these your things? This man says that you invited him into your home and you fed him, and then you gave him all of these things and told him he could take them." And they said, "Is this true?" And the bishop turned around. He got more candelabras, or different candelabras. He handed them to Jean Valjean and said, "My friend, you forgot to take the very best. I'm sorry, I forgot to give you these." And he handed them to him. And the police were stunned. And he said, "You could go." They left, and then when they left, he said to Jean Valjean, "Remember this. I have bought your life for God. Remember what I've done. Now go out and be good to other people. Be kind." And this just blew Jean Valjean away until he just decided he was going to lead a life of righteousness. And I'm not going to go through the rest of the story, but it's a great story if you ever get a chance to read the book. I did read the book. The book is like this fat, and there's 5 chapters on the sewers of Paris, France. And I read them like this. It's like, no way am I reading 5 chapters on the sewers of Paris, France. No, and I knew why they were doing that, because there was a definite significant thing in the story about the sewers, but I wasn't interested. Anyway, not interested in your sewers. But anyway, so that story pierced my heart in such a way that I thought, you know what? I have been what I thought I was being, this mature person, a Christian who was mature and made these great decisions and knew God and knew all this stuff. Well, actually, what I knew was, I knew a lot of different doctrines. I knew a lot of different church people. I knew a lot of different ways to follow God. But when it came to me, myself, I wasn't being true to myself. I was trying to fit into everybody's box. These people here who I'm really close to, they say this, and then these people, and this, and this one, and this, and it took a lot of years even after that, till I got to the place where I needed to go back to when I was a part of the Jesus Freak movement and live my life according to the love of God. That's it. There it is. And I'm almost 67 years old, and I'm finally getting this. It's just taken me a really long time to get it, that God's love is more important than all that other stuff, and I don't really need to be concerned with it. I personally have beliefs about it that I'm sure many people don't, but for me, the love of God will always lead my decisions, how I live, and what I do. So that is my story. Thank you.